Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me, David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Phoenix Suns at the Denver Nuggets.
With your lineup success as our top priority, this is where David and I will dive deep into our top three players that we like for this matchup. We will break down the strategy behind our picks, share insights to enhance your lineups, and make sure to not miss out on the finale where we reveal two fully hand-procured, hand-selected, hand-picked lineups absolutely free.
Yeah, like you did mention, we do got those two free lineups. If you want to go ahead and skip ahead, the link in the lineup timestamp listed in the description below. But we want you to stick around as we both, are going to give those key players away. So not only will that help you, just come and get a free lineup, but will actually help you create, potential multiple winning lineups for tonight's slate. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Phoenix coming into Denver. Man, I'll just start off just saying that Kings game was rough, dude. Didn't anticipate that. Anticipated a little bit more of a battle, but yeah, with fantasy, I'm just gonna move forward.
I know, right?
But
yes, sir.
yeah, so with this one, going in, Denver's favored 7.5. I'm not sure what Vegas knows that we don't know, but it's kind of hard to determine favorites when the starting five on both teams seems to be injured. And we'll get to that. The over-under sitting at about a 225.5. So fairly average scoring game, nothing spectacular. Both of these teams did play fairly recently, this month, March 5th, where it did go into overtime here. Phoenix did come out 117 to 107. This Phoenix didn't have Devin Booker, so that's obviously a huge loss. They still did pull up the upset. Kevin Durant, Grayson Allen, Nurkic, top three for Phoenix fantasy point wise, and Jamal Murray, Jokic, and KCP, Katavious Cadwell, Pope for the Denver Nuggets. So yeah, with that, this matchup's going to be interesting. Coming into it, season ranking here, Phoenix is ranked 8th, offensive rating at 117.3, defensive rating they're 13th at 114.3, and their pace is about average, 99.25. Denver has basically one of the slowest pace teams. They're at a 97.37. There's only actually three teams slower than them, I should say. Their defense rating is actually fairly good. They're top 10 at 112.8, and their offense is top 10 as well at 6 at 117.8. So, yeah, Denver, returning champs. So, yeah, going into it, Phoenix needs this win. It's highly, contentious down there, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seed, and now even, Houston's creeping in on the outside at 11th. Now all the victories matter. However, now the big thing is injuries. If you before watching this video, you pulled up the slate and you kind of said, what the, that's what we did. So we're gonna do our best, to kind of give you the breakdown with as the news sits now. Looking at it, like I said, the starting five for basically each time is game time decision. You got Jokic, game time decision. However, he is listed as probable. You have Jamal Murray, game time decision. He missed the two previous games. There is probably more than likely he might miss a third game, as in they're really in no real danger of missing a playoff spot. As far, compared to a Phoenix, Michael Porter Jr. game time decision, Aaron Gordon game time decision. Then you got Nanaje, he's out, which I don't think he's too much of a factor. But heading over to the Phoenix side now, just if the superstars weren't enough on Denver, you go over here, Bradley Beal game time decision, and Nurkic a game time decision as well, which is huge because, yeah, that's literally all the people 10K and above, or with the exception of two, I think, are game time decisions.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
please, bear with us, stick with us, and we'll do the best we can to kind of, go through the injuries and give you our best picks, whether they're playing or, give you a pick that, hey, if this guy doesn't play, barring any kind of news. So with that, do you have anything to add before we get into these key players?
Just the only thing would be I would be checking news. I mean, literally every hour, every other hour. I mean, on your if everyone that has a daytime job. I mean, if you get a 5 minute smoke break or something like that, be checking the news because it is constantly changing. Even the players right now that don't have a tag next to them that say game time decision, kind of like today, out of nowhere, Luca came out as a game time decision. Whether he really was or not, he obviously wasn't. He came and balled out. But it is important to stay on top of that news for these final 10 games. So that way you don't want to be taking a zero in any of your lineups. So with that, we can go ahead and kick things off here, baby.
All right, go ahead. Well, I'll let you go and start it off with your first pick here.
So my first pick is going to be Mr. Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns. He has scored basically 60 fantasy points the last two times that he has played Denver. He has a 56 and a 62, so he's averaging 59 fantasy points the last two times that they played. He also does not have an injury tag next to his name. And so it's like, okay, I can count. He's going to be playing. He is 14K, which is awesome. We got Jokic at least under 17.5, under 17. And Devin Booker is at 14.5. So, at 14,000, it appears that he is playing. And when he has played both times this season, he crushed. I know you did mention one of those games did not have Devin Booker. That obviously makes a difference with the usage and whatnot. But here we are, like you mentioned, we're in the home stretch. He while everyone knows he's not a leader, he is the dude who's like a silent assassin who will just step up and he just pulls it off on the court. So I'll be having him at MVP and star. Really, those are going to be the two spots. Is Jokic going to be at MVP for me, or is it going to be Kevin Durant? Will be my two heavy plays. And yeah, Kevin Durant will be my first pick. What are your thoughts on that? And who do you got for your first play?
Yeah, I like Kevin Durant. I mean, kind of hard not to. I mean, just looking back, he's averaging roughly last 5 games or so, low 40s. I would say last 5 games, he's looking like he's averaging 36.3 minutes and getting about a 23.2 usage. So obviously he's, good. And like you said, he can step up at any time and have, those 60-point games. Like I think his last, 60-point game was in Houston end of February there, but he most recently had March 9th in Boston he had a 63-point game followed up by a 56 fantasy. So there is potential there too to where he can get a 60-point game, but I'm thinking more along low 40s, in the 40 range. I see him this game. So yeah, I'll definitely be utilizing him in basically probably MVP star. Might throw him in the pro, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it all depends on how the lineup construction goes. So
yeah, 100%. That'd be a good ownership play too. Whenever you take a guy that's at 14K and put him, usually that's a star heavy position ownership wise. So
yeah,
putting him at the pro or putting him at really the pro's the ownership move. When your name's Kevin Durant, obviously the MVP is going to be a spot you're going to be put in. So
Nah.
yeah, right on.
So
Who do you got here?
yeah, so if it's not Kevin Durant, it's gonna be Mr. Devin Booker. So yeah, I like him quite a bit in this slate. I like the matchup he does have. So if you look in, last 5 games, averaging 35.4, his usage is insane, 30.7, averaging 48 fantasy points, and he's projected roughly 42, 41.6. This one, I do like him, MVP star. He is 500, I believe. Oh yeah, he's 14.5. So paying up is not bad. For Booker, I do like this matchup he has. Denver has been giving up roughly about 37 fantasy points to the shooting guard, point guard position. So more recently, Scoot Henderson 38.8, Brunson 41. They just gave up 56.5 to Luka, but it seems like every team does that. And then Keontae George just got 40 points. So, Booker has the potential to, have just like Kevin Durant, 60-point games. So he's coming off 2 50-point games. He just did back-to-back 50-point games against San Antonio, and it was, both games were actually San Antonio as well. So yeah, I like the matchup. I like his potential, his usage, his minutes. I mean, it's kind of hard not to. And most importantly, just like Kevin Durant, no injury designation as of this recording.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna make that clear that something might pop up. But yeah. So what do you think of Mr. Booker before I head on here to my second?
Yeah, obviously great play. The only concern would be he does look hot, as you mentioned, over the last 5 because he played San Antonio twice, Atlanta, and Philly with no Embiid. A lot of those paces are obviously fast, and those teams not playing defense. So, but again, it's Devin Booker, and he can go off against anybody at any given time. And again, as of right now, 4 of the 5 starters are game time decisions for Denver. So it's like they might not even, especially if they don't have some of their top guys out there, and it's the backups. Devin Booker all the way. So yeah, I like the pick. Who do you got here for your second one?
All right, so next one is coming with an asterisk, and you're gonna, what the heck? So this guy's kind of I have 2 opinions on him. So Mr. Reggie Jackson from Denver. I'm doing this pick because with so many game time decision players, and we don't know until that news drops. I want to kind of give you guys, the audience and stuff, like, hey, if this person doesn't play, I'm going to be going towards this person. So, I'm not saying necessarily like, hey, the player's not playing, but I just want to give you that viable option if, in the information as if the player wasn't. So for instance, Jamal Murray, everybody know he's great baller, obviously play him if he does play. However, he's been out the last 2 games. He does have a fairly significant ankle injury. It seems like he's already missed, a sprained ankle, 2 games. There's really no reason that, if he's feeling anything to play this game. Denver, he's kind of, locked into where they're at. So, if, I could see him sitting an extra game, make sure he's fully healthy, and Mr. Jackson's going to be the beneficiary of that. So I wanted to give that information to you. However, this information right here is just, last 5 games as he's played them. 19 minutes, averaging 23.2 usage, which is really nice. When he is in, he's part of the action. So he's averaging 20.1, and this matchup he's projected 29. So his usage does go up to roughly about 25-ish or so with Murray out, because he's getting more minutes and stuff. I do like him. He is at, I believe, 9.5 salary, so I like him at pro utility. But he does have the potential to have good games. So the games that I go back about 2 months or so with Murray, out. He got a 29.2 game, a 33.5, two 33.5s and an 11.5 game. So those are the 4 games that Murray actually were out and he got in. So he does have the potential with Murray out to get some good fantasy points. Not to mention Denver also is a great matchup where they are actually giving up about 35 fantasy points to his position. They just gave up 62 to Murray from Atlanta, 60 to Damian Lillard, 36 to Holiday, and 38 to Garland. So if Jamal Murray does not play, I definitely like Reggie Jackson as a solid play, especially pro, and definitely utility. And he's even a decent play if Jamal Murray plays as well. But he's definitely one of probably a go-to for me.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson is an amazing pick. That's actually the second pick for myself as well as a top 3 play on the slate.
Nice.
And that will be regardless of if Jamal Murray plays or not. Obviously he then doesn't necessarily become a top 3, but he's still a top play at the 9,500. If Jamal Murray is in, I will be playing Jamal Murray as well, though. He does really well against Phoenix just in general, but I kind of have a feeling he's not going to play, which in that case, Reggie Jackson will be a staple. I'll be over the field on him, I'm sure. Mainly utility, definitely the pro. And yeah, I mean, that's just a great play, especially with, I can't wait to see how many Denver starters are actually in or out of their typical, starters. So, yeah, great pick. I'll be having plenty of exposure to him as well. So I guess I could go ahead and get on with my final pick. My final pick is going to be Mr. KCP. He also does not have a game time decision tag next to his name, which is awesome. The last time, in the last podcast, I talked about how De'Aaron Fox in this in the Dallas game, how, man, every time he plays Dallas, he just, for literally the last 3 years, has done amazing. Well, it's kind of the same thing here with KCP. KCP, even though, just put it this way, KCP, he's had 33 fantasy points last time, 33 fantasy points the game before that, and going into last season, he had 41 fantasy points and 29 fantasy points. So he's at 8,500. His floor is probably 25, I would say, but his ceiling is definitely 40, especially since we don't know who's in and who's out. At 8,500, he gets minutes. He plays probably the most minutes on the team consistently, I would say. He's typically in the upper 30 minutes, if not low 40 minutes. So I definitely, man, at 8,500, he's a lock at utility. He, depending on game scripting and whatnot, you might be able to get fancy and put him at the pro spot, depending on who's in and out, as that is going to make a huge difference. But yes, KCP 8,500, lock him in. So that's my final pick. What are your thoughts, and who you got here for your final pick?
Yeah, I have a little differ opinion on the KCP approach. So yeah, you're right. The minute wise, he's doing great. He's averaging the last 5 games 33.3 minutes, so which is really nice. However, his usage is 9.9, so it's kind of rough there. Looking back at the last 5 games, 15, 28, 26, 20, 22, those don't really come, the 20-point games don't come from his offense. I mean, as much, like if you go back, it's 2 blocks, 3 blocks. He has multiple blocks, multiple steal games. So he is a really great defender. So you're just really hoping that kind of streak continues. If not, he's he's going to get you those, mid to upper teen points, and at 8,500, throwing him in the utility at that typically probably won't land you in the optimal. You're looking for a player more in the mid 20s. At least. So does he have the potential? Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen it before. And then on top of that, not to mention with the 17 other players, game time decisions, he could be seeing more usage. That way, I haven't dug too far into him to see how he correlates with, if Porter didn't play and, Gordon didn't play and such. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to keep my eye open. Obviously, this is with the news. It's kind of hard. It's hard to judge, but if he's going to be, for me anyways, more of a lock-in play. If certain people don't play, like if we get news that Murray or Porter and Gordon aren't playing, I'd be more trigger happy to be like, no, we're locking him in.
So I think just to add on before you go to your last person, I think with Nurkic also being a game time decision, we know he's like a rebound machine. I think if they don't have Nurk out there, as you mentioned, KCP typically is not getting his fantasy points because of his scoring. He is a 3-and-D type of guy. So I could see him getting a couple extra rebounds, maybe a couple extra blocks or steals or something, because Nurk not being in there, as well as possibly Jokic not being on the floor, even though I think Jokic is probable, but you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's right on. Well, who do you got here to close us out with then for your final pick?
It's going to be similar to what, I was doing with the last selection I gave here, which, with Reggie Jackson. This one's going to be kind of a like, hey, if these players aren't playing, play him, Mr. Christian Braun. I do like him actually. Now this is, basically if Murray and Gordon, mainly Gordon, doesn't play. Gordon did sit out with a pretty bad, plantar fasciitis strain. So he did miss last game with that. He is questionable this matchup. And I could see, Christian Braun getting more minutes. Like I said, this game's not as important to Denver as it is Phoenix. So if the people are really hurt, Murray, Gordon, I see them taking an extra day rest. So Christian Braun is going to be my play. If, these people sit out, I even go all the way up to star. He has the potential there. And mind you, that is probably like 1 out of 20 lineups-ish at star, more heavily in pro utility. These are just the last solid 5 games that he's played with whatever, injuries happen. 21.7 minutes. His usage is 17.5. Averaging 19.6 fantasy points, and he's projected roughly about 22 fantasy points this matchup. So without Murray, looking back at the games he did get, he got 25 last game they played. He got a 46.6 game. That's why I kind of threw him at the star. He does have that high ceiling. If Murray and Gordon do not play, he just gets a little bit more playing time. I know Jackson kind of is more with Murray, but Christian Braun as well, and then he got a 9.4 and a 17.6. So he does have a pretty low floor, and so this is kind of rolling the dice with him. But he is a solid play if he gets going. He has an okay matchup, decent matchup. Denver, 25.7 fantasy points are typically giving up to the position. They just gave up 50 to Vassell, 30.3 to Mann, 39.1 to Derek White, and 42.7 to LeVert. So there is potential for him to, get going, and he's he is streaky, but in both ways. So I like him, and at 7.5, 7.5 salary, that gives you the option to put in some more people that aren't on that game time decision tag.
For sure, yeah. I definitely like the play. I'll be having exposure to him, regardless of who's in or out, he is part of the rotation, whether he starts or not.
Mm-hmm.
So at 7,500, obviously, as you mentioned, if he does start, then man, a 7,500 and you're starting. I mean, that's going to be hard to pass up on. I think he will be chalky, obviously at utility. I could see him making it to pro, depending on who's in and out. Obviously, it's really difficult to make those decisions right now, but definitely someone to have in your player pool. And as you mentioned, get you access to some of those higher price guys if they end up playing.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So, anything to add before we get over here to these lineups for everybody?
Hey man, just good luck. Really, hey, good luck and stay up on the news.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I agree with that. So now, if you jumped ahead, you looked at our lineups, you're thinking, why are they doing that? Well, go ahead and go back, click on the player breakdown, and watch the feed, and we'll give it to you why we just did what we did. So right now, looking at our lineups here, no, they look pretty good, pretty different. So give you kind of a range of people here, kind of look similar 3-2 builds. Yeah, nice. So with that, as we wrap up today's decision, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. That does help us out quite a bit. We're still trying to grow this channel. And the more you guys hit the like button, especially, and subscribe, it puts us out in front of more people. And as a bonus, we like to throw in 2 free prize pick positions in our short section. I can never say that, and that's those typically reflect today's matchup, and I'll give you the roughly the percent chance of them hitting. They're not always necessarily above that magic mark that people have realized, but they're going to be the best according to what's out there right now. So with that, good luck. Hope to see you on the leaderboards. Hopefully have a little bit better success than I did last matchup, but it's DFS. You win some, you lose some, you move on. So good luck, and David, take us off.
Yep. As I mentioned, keep up on the news. Look up the beat writers. They get the news out first, so make sure to be looking them up on X, Twitter, wherever you can find their news at. And be looking out for that. Again, I'm just going to keep promoting this. The UFC 300 will be coming up. We will be having a pod, our first MMA podcast coming out for that, so keep your eyes open for that. Other than that, just looking forward to these playoffs coming up here soon for the NBA. That way we don't have to deal with all these game time decision stuff, and we can actually really hone in and give you guys some even better insights when these playoffs finally start. So good luck to everybody out there, and hope you guys make a lot of money, and see you at the top. Good night.